Welcome to Unlearning, where we go behind the curtain for an insider's perspective on the theater industry, break down the buzzworthy conversations on social media, and challenge the stigmas that hold us back. I'm Veronica Stone, and together we're unlearning and redefining what it means to thrive in the business. Now it's time to rewrite the script. Hello, wonderful people of the world, and welcome to the Unlearning podcast. Today, my guest is Lindsey Stone, who is the host and creator of From the Mezzanine podcast, which is the podcast for Broadway's biggest fans. I am so incredibly grateful to Lindsey for coming on my podcast. I also went on her podcast, so you'll have to listen to that after you're done listening to this one. We talk about everything Tonys, Tony nominations, who we think we're going to win. I also sort of get into the semantics of Tony voting. Who votes in the Tony Awards? Is it 1 million people? Is it 500 people? Is it 800 people? Keep watching to find out. A few housekeeping things. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoy this episode. It really means a lot to me. We have so many incredible guests lined up for you guys. I'm extremely excited to talk to them, so I hope that you enjoy it as much as I do. Some fun things that have happened to me this week. I worked on Broadway this week. Just kidding, guys. For my job, I had to do some social stuff at a show that happened at a Broadway theater, but I got a little taste of Times Square this week, so that was really fun. And also this coming week, I'm going to see Death Becomes Her, which I'm very excited about, and then I'm also going to see Boop the musical. So those are two big ones that I'm very much looking forward to seeing. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoy this episode with Lindsey. It was a really fun one to make. And please be sure to watch her episode of From the Mezzanine, where I am a guest, because we get even further and deeper into the Tony nominations. So without further ado, here is my episode with Lindsey. Lindsey, thank you so much for being on Unlearning. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. The pleasure is all mine.
I am so excited to talk to you today. So anyone that maybe skipped the intro, this is Lindsey Stone. Her podcast is From the Mezzanine.
Yes.
A Broadway podcast.
The Broadway podcast for the Broadway fans.
Okay, which I'm obsessed with, and let me explain to you how I found you.
Yes,
because
okay.
I have been doing Unlearning now since February, but developing it since November.
Okay.
And so when I initially was trying to figure out, is anybody else doing this? Obviously I saw your podcast, but
yes.
you're a fan of Broadway,
yes.
not necessarily an actor.
As all theater kids go, I grew up acting.
I was going to say.
Big time.
Mm-hmm.
That. It's always been my life
mm-hmm.
since I think I started when I was in 3rd grade.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a minor in theater in college.
Oh, really?
I always wanted to do marketing for professional theaters.
Okay.
But I'm a business girly now, and I have the podcast as my outlet.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But you also have done some red carpet stuff recently.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh my gosh, this season, I'm equally anxious and excited mm-hmm. because it's all back again. We're already 1 year from the Tonys mm-hmm. and the Cheetah Rivera Awards and the Drama Desk Awards, which I did last year. Basically, it kind of fell into my lap of doing award carpets. Mm-hmm. And at first I got the first email inviting me to do one, and I said no because I was this isn't what I do.
Right. Because you're not a journalism person.
Yeah. I was I'm a fraud.
No.
There's no way I could do this. I was sick to my stomach. The first one that I did, because I knew Bernadette Peters was going to be there. I knew Kenny Ortega was going to be there.
Wait, stop.
And I was I knew Kristen Chenoweth was going to be there. I was I could not, I was so unwell that entire day.
Wait, which carpet was this for?
That was for the Cheetah Rivera Awards,
okay.
which is a dance award.
Yes.
So anyways, I did the first one, and afterwards I was like, wait, I feel like that was actually good, and I feel comfortable, and I love it. And so then I was like, okay, I'll do the drama desk. And then since I did those 2 carpets, I feel like that's why like the Tonys had me in the press room. And so I got to like ask Sarah Paulson questions. I got to ask Jonathan Groff, Daniel Radcliffe, everybody. It was insane. It's insane.
Wait, stop.
It's insane.
What is the so obviously I invited you here today because I love your podcast, but also because the Tony nominations are out. And it's a very exciting year. I feel like this is the first year personally, and I'm wondering from your point of view, this feels like the first year that we are so back. Like everything just feels very right. The categories feel very full and very like full of shows that are different and fun and interesting.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering from your point of view as somebody that is a more of a consumer of it, what is it feeling like for you?
Oh, it's so good. Like last year, it really felt like so many shows were rushing to Broadway because they had their window of opportunity. And I was disappointed by a lot. And I hate that feeling because I'm such a Broadway girly to my core. Like when I don't like something, I'm like, I'm wrong. Like there's no way I don't like a Broadway show. Anyways, last season, it felt like a lot of things that just weren't prepared for Broadway. And this season, it feels like a wealth of fantastic shows. Like it just feels like we're so lucky right now. And I'm loving, honestly, like from this past season, I've loved 95% of the things that I've seen.
Okay, so that leads me into my next question, which is how many of the Tony nominated shows have you seen?
Oh, okay. So I'll tell you what I haven't seen because that'll
sure.
be easier. But I've seen pretty much everything. So
That's wild. I will say I haven't.
Oof. I love Broadway. Okay, so I have not seen Buena Vista yet. I haven't seen Just in Time.
Okay.
I haven't seen...
Just in Time just opened.
Okay, I haven't seen like a lot of the
plays?
Really expensive plays.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Glengarry, Othello. I haven't seen those. But
well, I guess those don't even really matter because they weren't really nominated.
Yeah. I think that might be... I'm definitely forgetting some.
No, that's pretty impressive.
But I feel like that's it.
That's really impressive. So I've been racking my brain about this because I had a feeling you probably had seen like a lot of it.
Everything practically. Yeah.
And this is like
That's it.
an interesting thing about being an actor and being in it. You don't see as many shows as people think you might see. You just know way too much about everything going on behind the scenes and all of that. So like that's my main reason. And also like it is, I don't want to like open this bag of worms, but it is super expensive to see Broadway shows.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can only see so many things and my capacity for like seeing them is so small sometimes. And I'm like, I don't know how many I want to see, you know? But
100%. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Luckily, I am a member of the press, so I get invites a lot.
That's nice.
And if I didn't get that, like I would not see nearly as many as I
Yes.
do. And the last time I paid full price for a ticket might have been like Moulin Rouge a year ago. I never do it. If I can help it, I'll rush your lottery.
I don't think I've paid full price for a ticket in a very long time. I think it was like, gosh, I know what I paid full price for. I paid full price to see Lindsey
Cabetta.
Yeah, her Broadway debut in Wicked. I don't know her
so
personally,
special.
but anytime there's like something historic at Wicked, I always go, which is so random.
I paid so much for that 20th anniversary. I went to the Green Show and like the 20th and like till the end of time, the 20th anniversary show will be like my favorite performance I've ever viewed because Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth were like right in front of me and they would like stand up and do a standing ovation for all of like the big Elphaba Glinda songs.
Aww.
And to watch them watch the show was like so meta and like the best night ever.
That's like worth the price alone.
Yeah, that's like my favorite all-time show.
Okay, so I want to get into the Tony nominations with you, but because it's Unlearning and I am not necessarily like a review podcast or, you know, one of those, I thought it would be interesting to kind of get into the semantics of it all.
Let's do it.
And to kind of talk through that, and then we'll get to snubs and surprises and everything fun. But I wanted to start with Tony voting.
Yeah.
Because this is something that I think a lot of people don't talk about, but it is like how do these shows, like, why does one show get nominated and not another? Or, like, why does one thing win and not another? And I've always personally been so fascinated by, like, the politics of it all.
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering, like, as a fan, what does it feel like from, like, an outsider's perspective? And, like, you're not really an outsider, but what, before you got more into the world, was it like, why is this thing being nominated over this? Why did this person win over this? Like, all of that, you know.
I feel like, okay, I've never been this involved in Broadway in my life. Like, I lived in Texas. I moved to New York 2 years ago, and I've always been, like, a Broadway fan, but, like, never to this degree. So, like, back whenever we used to get to, I was thinking about this on Tony Nom Day. I was like, I used to not know what day of the week, like, Tony Noms fell on. Like, I used to not follow this quite as attentively as I do now. So I think I would always just be like, okay, whatever. Like, I don't know. I didn't think too much about it, I guess. And there are certain things that, like, would happen that I'd definitely be like, what the heck? That's not right. And I recently learned something pretty interesting about the Tony voting as well, that, like, if they tie, that's why they have, like, a sixth person in the slot.
Yes. So that's, like, the big talking point this year, because there are six people in the male category, which is very interesting, as opposed to the 5, which we'll get into.
Yes.
But the thing I wanted to bring up is that there are approximately, and this is according to the Tony Awards website, okay, guys, I fact-checked myself. There are approximately 831 eligible voters that vote for the Tony Awards.
Not the noms.
Yes, right. Yeah. That vote in the Tony Awards. So, like, once the nominations come out, and that period between May 1st and June, 5th or whatever, whenever it closes, there are 831 people that potentially vote. And I say many. Potentially. Oh, you think that's so many?
That feels like so many to me.
I brought it up because I feel like that is such a small number.
800 people?
Okay, but think about it this way. The masses, okay, I guess I'll say it like this. The Tony Awards is an industry award, right? It's not like a people's choice. It's not like a fan thing. So 800 people voting for, these 10 or so shows that end up getting nominated, that's such a small sector. And to go even further, the members of that 831, it's members of the Broadway League, the board of directors, designated members of the advisory committee of the American Theater Wing, and then, like, governing boards of Actors Equity, the Dramas Guild, and, like, other boards and guilds and everything. And, like, I don't want to bore everybody. My point being, not only is it 831 people, it's such a small number, it's also a very specific type of person.
That's what I want to know. Like, I need to know the demographic of these people.
Yeah. So I think that in past years, it's been kind of a thing where it's like, oh, why are there so many white people in this category? And why is this show getting more love than this show? And, all of that stuff. And it can even harken back to, like, the Avenue Q and Wicked of it all back in, like, long time ago.
2003.
Yeah. But all's to say, the Tony Awards can be taken with a grain of salt, because it's like old, probably white people that are, like, voting for these shows. And you can kind of, if you think about it in that way, maybe guess some things of, like, oh, why was this person not nominated and this person was? It's like, well, maybe those voters, like, don't get it.
100%. And I completely believe that what you're saying is absolutely true. However, our most Tony nominated play is John Proctor's The Villain, and I would never in a million years think that demo would give that show the nominations and the acting noms that it got, because I would think that they wouldn't be able to relate to it, because that is such a young person's show. But also, like Romeo and Juliet, for example, that was such a young person's show as well, and critically it did not do well, but, like, in the hearsay and the word on the street, everybody was obsessed with it. Right. So it's interesting, like, the dichotomy of the two. But, like, I would think that they would have been like, oh, Othello, our favorite show. Right. It's so classic, but everybody hates it. Or Glengarry, Glen Ross, Or Good Night and Good Luck. That's what I meant to say, because that was critically received really well. But then, like, okay, they're giving John Proctor the noms. Like, that's amazing. So it's weird. Like, I totally think what you're saying is true, but I need the metrics. Like, tell me, what is the age demo? I only know one person who is on the eligibility committee. Maybe I know she's a Tony voter.
How old is she? Our age?
Oh, it's who was the lead in Kimberly Akimbo? What's her name?
Victoria Clark.
She's a Tony voter.
Oh well, yeah, she's like
yeah.
Not that
That's the
Victoria
only one
Clark
I know.
is old. She's
Older,
just
though.
like in that demographic of people that I am saying. All's to say though, that doesn't mean that they're not like progressive, because that's also a thing. Like, okay, yeah, so that, you know, John Proctor's a villain is like one of the most has one of the most nominations. Yes, but nobody voted for Romeo and Juliet. So like it is sort of like, I haven't seen John Proctor as a villain, but does it kind of sway for an older audience in terms of like older people could get it?
No.
Okay, no,
absolutely
okay.
not.
Then you know what?
Really don't
it's
think
not
so.
a science, guys. It's not a science. It's just a feeling. I was gonna also say another thing about the Tony voters is that they are expected to attend all of the nominated productions.
Thank God, because the Oscars just released that they just now made it a rule that the Oscar voting committee has to see all the movies. It's like, okay, duh.
Yeah, like it's sort of like a duh. But I say that to say that according to Ken Davenport, who's like a famous, like, you know, producer in the biz.
I saw him at Real Women Have Curves this week.
Oh, really?
I was like, hey, Ken.
I love his social media presence. It's I love like his like little tidbits that he shares. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I like him.
But I was gonna say he wrote like a little myths about, you know, Tony voting a couple of years ago, and one of the thing was that not everybody votes, and he said that it's actually true. And
Wait, what?
He said that about 70% of the people that are eligible to vote actually vote. So that brings it down to like 500 people, which
get me up there.
Right.
I want to vote.
But this is the thing. I feel like how do they possibly have any young voices in the committee of voters if you have to be a part of all these things? You know, because I'm thinking to myself, like, maybe the only way in for somebody super young, and I mean like in their 20s, would be to be like a member of the governing board of Actors Equity, but like honestly not even really that. So
yeah, like you have to be qualified to a degree. Like we don't want, I guess maybe some people would think they wouldn't want me on the eligibility committee, but I would love to represent.
I think that would be
but
good.
Like Kobe Castle, who like runs Theaterly, like he's younger and he gives great reviews and like he's very qualified. Like that's somebody that I would hope is on that.
Oh, so this is an interesting thing. Apparently, and I'm sorry I don't have the exact data, up until a few years ago, journalists were allowed to be voters.
Interesting.
But they took that away.
And
I'm wondering why. I have like a few inklings, like maybe there was some sort of, you know, bias because they are also the ones that are, you know, reviewing it. So that's just an interesting thing, but that also was like a way in.
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. So that's all I had to say about the Tony voting.
Well, I will say, whoever they are, I think they did a pretty good job. Like
this year was
I'm
like
not
one of the best
disappointed.
years.
Other than the Helen J. Shin snub, which I saw maybe Happy Ending last night, and it just like solidified the fact that she absolutely should have been nominated. Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't.
I'll bring you. It's the best show.
Interesting.
That and Gypsy are my favorite shows of the season.
Oh, well,
period.
we'll fight about that later in a bit.
You didn't like Gypsy?
No.
Why? No, tell me.
I just like.
Oh. Did you have good seats?
No.
You need to see it again.
I've heard this, and I was sitting very far in the back. I think that was the wrong house for it. Like, I don't think it should have been in the Majestic.
Yeah. Theater's huge.
But I will say that direction was not nominated, and like I think that was rightfully so. I don't think it was well directed.
I don't really know how to interpret direction, so I'll give you that for sure.
Yeah, and we can get into that later, but let's move on to snubs and surprises since we're there.
Let's.
the one that's on everyone's lips is obviously Helen.
Major disappointment.
I don't know her personally, and I haven't seen the show yet, but everything that I've been hearing is like, why was she not nominated?
So here's my interpretation.
I'd love to hear it.
This goes back to what you were just talking about with the voters. I think she plays the role so modern and she is super authentic. Like, if I saw that and didn't like know her, I would think that's how she was in real life. Like perhaps she isn't like acting to the gods. Like, sure, she's very realistic and she's so authentic. And last night whenever I was watching it, like, I was just so moved by her performance. That show, it moves me in a different way every single time I see it. And I've seen it 5 times. Like, I start crying at a different point every single time. So the show overall is just like a miraculous dream. It's so beautiful. But she is like equally as lead as Darren. And I do think Darren is like worthy of winning. I definitely wouldn't have picked Helen to win, but she should have been nominated. I think Audra's going to win.
So I have a curious thing about that too. So a lot of who gets nominated and who wins, it's a campaign.
Yeah.
You know, and you have to have the right people behind you, propping you up and putting you out there and doing all of that stuff. I don't know if this is true or not, so don't take this for Bible, anybody out there. Also, Helen, if you want to come on the podcast, please.
Yeah.
Come, girl. My friend is roommates with her, so it's always like a little weird to talk about people you sort of know but don't, but also I'm in your corner, Helen. Anyways, I don't know if Helen has the team behind her that was like propping her up to get the nomination.
Interesting.
Because
I'm so deep in it, so like I see her everywhere, but
I don't.
Yeah.
And I'm like watching it from the point of view as like, was she on the Today Show? Yes, she did the Tonight Show, right, with Darren. And she did sit down and talk with Jimmy Fallon. But I just think that Darren Chris is like, they're kind of pushing him as like the person, even though their names are both on the marquee.
Right.
So I think it's sort of a Joy Woods and Notebook situation where it's like, hello, like, we all see that she is the star and she should have been nominated, but it just didn't hit because those producers probably were like we're gonna focus on getting Darren that nomination. That's just my outside. I have no inside information on that. I don't know anything. That's just what I think.
No, I think that you're probably valid if you haven't seen anything from her. It makes me want to compare the other people. Like, obviously, we knew Nicole was going to get a nom. But, like, what about Jasmine Amy Rogers? I feel like she's not doing a huge campaign.
No, I was going to say, I just completely disagree. That show has been pushing her, and that show has been like, this is our star. This is her. Here's her story. This is Jasmine Amy Rogers. Like, here she is world. And I don't think Helen has been getting that same treatment.
Yeah, maybe because it's shared with Darren. I'm so deep into it. Like, I just see everything. So it's hard for me to compare. But then, like, Adina was snubbed.
Well, was it? Was she?
What do you mean? Like, was she worthy is what you're saying?
That show was not good.
Yeah, but, like, I thought just from merit she would be nominated. But, yeah. No, I agree. I didn't. You did?
Yeah.
I thought everybody was like, there's no way they're going to exclude Adina Menzel. And so I was kind of, like, on the train of, like, she's going to get a nom. I didn't like the show. Well, I did like the show. Because I love Adina and my allegiance is to her.
Interesting.
I'm only saying I like the show because I cannot be on camera saying I didn't. No, like, I love Adina Menzel. Like,
no, it's okay.
I will ride for her to the end of time. I love her.
So I kind of took some notes from the New York Times article, Tony Nominations and Snubs.
Yeah, let's chat.
So let's chat about Sondheim's review show.
Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. I know somebody in that show. To me, it's a concert.
It'd be like nominating Ben Platt for the Palace, maybe.
I agree.
Even though I've heard that they're fully acting like the Sondheim songs, but
it's, to me, it's not a show, and of course it's like can be seen as a snub because it's like Bernadette Peters and Lea Salonga. But I think that with this season that we're having, where it's like Nicole Scherzinger and like Audra are giving these like insane performances where they're like literally their backs must hurt. Like, it's a little hard to say that like a review show is gonna get critical acclaim and nominations. Especially I think it just opened.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about the last 5 years.
Oh, oof.
There are no snubs there.
There are no snubs.
And there are no surprises. I'm sorry.
Let me think critically for 1 second. Set, no. I love that score so much. So, like, maybe it could have been nominated for orchestrations because he did redo the orchestrations for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
like, it's a bigger
interesting.
piece orchestra than it was, obviously, off Broadway and on, like, the albums that we love. I don't think either of the actors should have been nominated. I think Adrienne Warren's star is being, like shoved in the ground and stomped on by Nick Jonas.
Can I say this about it? I think that it was a big mistake to put it in this season.
It's such a shame because that's like one of my all-time favorite musicals.
For a lot of people. I think that it was a mistake to put a Jason Robert Brown show in this season after Parade just had such a year last year. I think that they should have just like given it one more, like a season and a half off of like Jason Robert Brown, brought it back next year, and then let it have its moment. But this season is just like too stacked. There's too many things happening.
I don't think
questions.
Yeah, I don't think they ever wanted it to get Tony nominated. Like, you put that on a stage, like, I don't think that they, like, I don't feel like they've been campaigning for it. I feel like they had their time to bring it. Nick Jonas was readily available. It's like a money grab, to be honest, I feel. So I
agree and disagree though, because I feel like with the Jason Robert Brown of it all, I think that this is the first time the last 5 years has been on Broadway. I think there was this hope that it was going to be like, you know.
What I would have given, so I see a world for the last 5 years. Like, I have a vision for it that I want to come to fruition so badly. I want them to like copy and paste the movie. I know.
Yeah.
That's what I want. I want an ensemble. I want it rewritten. Like, I want the songs done like they're done in the movie. I want a set. I want the vision. I want Jeremy Jordan
Banana Kendrick.
I want Jeremy Jordan riding his bicycle through New York City. Like, no, but I really want it to be bigger than it is because I definitely think with that score, like, it has so much potential that it just cannot reach with the way that they're doing it.
Wait, that's so funny because I was gonna say it needs to scale down and it should have done numbers at like an off-Broadway theater.
No, with what they have right now, yes, they should have done off-Broadway. They should have done like Orpheum. I don't know, something.
Well, because this is the thing. It's like, and that's why I disagree with you that they didn't put it up to be Tony nominated. They absolutely did, or else they would have done it off-Broadway in a house that was like small and that they could like circle in stunt casting for the next 5 years, no pun intended. Like they do for Little Shop of Horrors, because it's absolutely the type of show that should be doing that, and that actors and, you know, A-list people would want to do that for. And they made a mistake by like trying to throw this small intimate show into a Broadway house. That's my opinion.
I don't know. I guess just with the trends lately of the Hudson doing like all in, I don't know, just something about it. It feels like the theater was open, Nick was avail. Let's go.
Well, they missed their mark. Okay,
for sure.
The New York Times says Sutton Foster in Once Upon a Mattress is a snub.
I didn't see it.
I did see that. It's not a snub. Also, it was. I loved it. It was so fun. Again, like, people I know are a part of that production. It was so much fun. Sutton Foster gave an amazing performance. But it happened at this point almost 6 months ago. And this is a question that always comes around when the Tony Awards come around. I think that all of the nominated play revivals are no longer on Broadway. Like, none of them are running, right? I think.
Play revivals, we have like...
Am I lying about that?
No, I feel like
Best revival of a
Yellow Face
play.
Oh, wait.
Yeah. Eureka Day is not running. Romeo and Juliet's not running. Our Town's not running. And Yellow Face is not running. So it's like... It's hard to have that same, you know, pull when you're also in a season of musicals that are like so alive, you know? How is anybody going to remember Once Upon a Mattress?
Yeah.
That was already an encores thing that transferred to Broadway. So if they really wanted Sutton Foster to get a nomination for that, they would have found a way to like bring it back for like 2 weeks or something in this like voting period.
Yeah, I guess they're just not supposed to take into consideration like recency bias, even though they say that it's obviously real.
Yeah. How can you not?
Yeah,
I
don't
never
know.
understood that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Idina Menzel in Redwood.
We've already chatted.
Okay. Let's talk about the Othello of it all.
Okay.
Are you surprised that it didn't receive any nominations?
No, although like leading up to finding out noms, I was really, I guess, just thinking that they were going to take this big moment Broadway is having. And since this is a publicized event on national television, I had a feeling that they were going to raise up the stars that we have, because we have so many right now. So I thought that maybe they would like put them in there for that purpose, which is like icky gross. Like, don't do that when people are more deserving. But I'm happy that they didn't, like with not putting in Idina and having like very qualified women in the 5 categories. It's a shame. I'd love to see like honorable mentions, like who was so close, like were Idina and Helen like tied? I don't know. I'm just curious. Like, I just want to know. I just want answers. Like,
I need answers.
Release the tapes, you know?
Yes. I think that people were definitely surprised about Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh, yeah. He did a really good performance.
I obviously haven't seen it because, like, I don't have $900 laying around.
Yeah, I love him so much. I want to see him so bad.
But that's another one. I'm surprised by that just because I know that there's so much money behind that.
Yeah.
And I guess money doesn't buy you Tony nominations, which is like...
Per hot take.
I guess that's what they're trying to say. Then we have... Oh, okay. So I wrote here that Buena Vista Social Club, I think, will be like a sleeper pick for winners this year.
I know, I'm nervous. Like, I
You're
can't
nervous?
talk about it.
Why?
Because I want Maybe Happy Ending to win so bad. And I also loved Dead Outlaw. I'll be happy if like Dead Outlaw, Maybe Happy Ending, or Death Becomes Her wins, even though like I don't think Death Becomes Her will, but like I see a world in which like I do. And yeah, if Buena Vista wins, I don't know. The only big Broadway show that we have in this category, I would say, is Death Becomes Her. It's like classic Broadway, big fanfare show. All the others are kind of obscure, interesting, like off the cuff shows. Dead Outlaw's super unique, so is Maybe Happy Ending. Of course, Buena Vista is as well. So a lot of times, like last year with like Illinois, people were like, oh my gosh, it might like win because it's so unexpected.
Right.
But I feel like we have a lot of unexpecteds this year.
So the reason why I kind of am putting Buena Vista as like a sort of sleeper pick and like the thing that everybody's going to be like, wait, I wasn't expecting this, is because the Tony voters are of an older age demographic. It's sort of like how there are Oscar movies that are like made to win an Oscar.
Right.
There are musicals that are made to win Tonys.
Yeah.
I believe that Buena Vista is one of those. It's about the 50s. It's based on a documentary. It's not really a jukebox musical, so it is like teetering on like the music already exists, but they're, you know, doing it for a music on stage. So I can see Tony voters being like, I love this, and like kind of liking it more than Maybe Happy Ending. I
think that Dead Outlaw really caters to the older demographic. Like my parents will love it. They will absolutely die for it because it's the musical that you could bring anybody to. Somebody who doesn't like musical theater, they will love it. And it's like bluegrass, older sounding.
We haven't had one of those in a while too.
Yeah, so I could see Tony voters really loving that too. But if they have their heads screwed on straight, they'll vote Maybe Happy Ending.
All right, so I want to talk about the phenomenon of every piece of a production being nominated except director, because this happened with Phylicia Rashad. 5 of the 6 cast members were nominated for awards in acting categories for Purpose, which I believe suggests strong direction by the director.
Ooh.
But she was ignored, which is very interesting to me.
Yeah.
And so it bears the question, how can an actor be nominated for their performance and not the director?
Yeah, that's a question for you. Like, genuinely, I don't know.
It's the John M. Chu phenomenon of Wicked. Like, how can everything about Wicked be nominated and then not the director? Like, it's literally their vision, and then you're not going to recognize the director. So it's very, very interesting. It was Felicia Rashad's directorial debut. So, you know, maybe they just didn't like her choices and they liked the actors' choices more. Yeah, it's something that I'm always wondering. It like, because your performance is not possible without your director.
Sure.
So it's like, how are you going to nominate literally 5 of the 6 actors in Purpose and not nominate the director? It's a very, very, very curious.
Okay, so our other
question.
directors, I know we have O'Mary and John Proctor's The Villain. What are the other directors in that category?
Best director of a musical.
English, Hills of California, and Picture of Dorian Gray. Oof. I don't know. Maybe Purpose. I'd have to see it to know.
I would have to see it to know as well. But from what I have seen, I think that it's sort of like, there's these plays that like almost feel like you're watching like a sitcom or something. You know, it's not very like technical and all of that. And the other ones in this category are very technical. So maybe it's that.
Okay.
But that was kind of like what my thoughts were on the snubs and surprises. Let me see.
I will say I have some snubs and surprises as well.
I would love to hear them.
Let me just like hold on.
She's pulling out her computer, guys. It's that serious.
Okay, let me look. Because there were some I was like really disappointed in, but they're kind of crazy. Okay, obviously I wanted Boop or Smash to be in Best New Musical. We'll talk about this on my pod when we do our little overlap, but like, I don't like Operation Mincemeat. I literally can't. I'll get more into it, but I don't think that it's worthy of a nom. I know so many people love it, but I loved Boop. I think that it should have been in that category.
For Best Musical?
Yes, for Best New Musical.
It's surprising.
It's so good. It's fine because I don't feel like it. Well, of course it needs the nom, but I just like every time I saw Operation Mincemeat, whenever I was seeing the Tonys, I was like, oh, knife to the heart. Like, no, it should have been something else.
Interesting. I feel like Operation Mincemeat is like Tony's.
I know.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean when I'm like, there are shows that are like made to win Tonys.
I know.
And I will say, I think Boop is one of those, but
yeah, I agree.
Operation Mincemeat had a longer time open before voting closed. I'll just say that. I think that also plays a big role.
I'll save the rest for when we do our overlap.
Okay, that honestly is perfect because that's all I had to say on my podcast.
Fabulous.
I'm very excited to head to your podcast, From the Mezzanine, to chat about more in depth about the nominations, snubs, surprises.
Get into the nitty gritty, break it down.
Yes. Before we do, would you like to tell people where they can find you?
Yes, you can find all things From the Mezzanine at fromthemezzanine.com. You can find me on TikTok and Instagram at From the Mezzanine Broadway. And I'll send it back to you. I was about to do my closing.
So, guys, if you want to hear Lindsey's closing, be sure to head over to From the Mezzanine podcast, where I will be breaking down things with her. Yes. Very exciting. Thank you all so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and we will see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to my episode with Lindsey. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you enjoyed listening to that, please be sure to head over to her podcast, From the Mezzanine, where we'll be chatting even more about the Tony nominations. If you enjoyed all of this, please be sure to follow me on Instagram at Veronica Stern and on TikTok at ThatMcChickNYC. That's all for now, and we will see you all next time. Bye. Cut.
And thank you so much for listening.
No, it's so funny when you do like a podcast swap. You're like, this is not my show. This is not my house.